Hello everybody. Many times I've sent the schematics for the starter assist relay to people, and it's kind of confusing as far as knowing where to connect the different relay terminals and where to do some testing on the starter itself and the solenoid. I'm going to point out some of the basics here. This is not the STX38 that I originally used for my original article, but I'll use it to do the demonstration that I'm going to produce right now. As underneath the hood here, you see the battery. Here is the positive terminal here, and this is the cable that goes down to the solenoid. I'm going to try and get around here so we can get as good a shot of the solenoid as possible. This is the battery side of the solenoid, right here, always hot, and it's where the terminal connects. Below that, if I can get down here enough, right there is the starter side of the solenoid. That goes right into the starter. So what happens is when you turn the key, the solenoid connects these 2 points, this one and this one, thus throwing 12 volts into the starter and allowing it to turn and start the engine. Now, the purple wire that I'm talking about that connects to the solenoid, on this one here, by golly, it does have a purple wire. Some of them do not. Some of it's different colored, yellow or red, what have you. But this is a 2 small terminal solenoid. This terminal here is the ground. All it does is go to the ground, to the body of the tractor or the motor there, so that the solenoid is grounded out. The purple wire goes to this post right here. So when you turn the key, the current travels through all the safeties, and providing all the safeties are working and the settings are proper, such as the brake on, PTO off, out of gear, etc., it'll give 12 volts to this point right here. And then that will activate the solenoid and turn the starter. So what happens that causes the click, over time, the safeties get corroded, they get old, they don't work quite as well as they should. You're still getting power through them, but you're not getting as much of a good clean shot of 12 volts into the solenoid through the purple wire as you should to activate it and start it. So when you install the starter assist relay, what you do is you need 12 volts. Good place to get it is either right here off the battery or right here off the solenoid where the main power supply connects on. There's your 12 volts. Your ground, you can go anywhere on the frame of the tractor, the engine, etc. that you like. Right here would be a good point to connect to, right here. You could connect right here where the solenoid is grounded out. If you have the 2 terminal solenoid, you could connect right there. That's your ground. Okay, that's 2 of the 4. Next one, you would take the purple wire off of the solenoid right here. I don't know if you can see down under there, that little connection right there that goes onto that. You would take that purple wire off. Then that purple wire goes to one of the terminals on the relay, and on the 4th terminal off the relay, you would run a wire right back down to this terminal right here. And that's the complete setup of the starter assist relay. So what happens if you don't get enough power through the safeties due to their corroding, aging, etc., etc., you get a little bit of a power, it activates the relay, and the relay gives it a full shot of power. You're not bypassing any safeties whatsoever. If the blades are engaged and you don't get any voltage through the purple wire, you're not going to get any activation of the relay. If it's in gear, you're not going to get any activation. If your foot isn't on the brake, you're not going to get any activation. So you're not going to have to worry about inadvertently starting the tractor with the blades on, in gear, what have you. It's just not going to happen. A good place to mount the relay after installation would possibly be down here on the engine. You could put it up here on the bottom of the firewall, up under in here, what have you, in this area. Just someplace that is going to be out of the way and you can run the wires without having to worry about them shorting out, getting scraped, scuffed, cut, what have you. And a problem some people have had, they say that they can't seem to get any power whatsoever. Now I'm going to show you a trick here to test your solenoid and test your starter. I'm going to pause this for 1 second. Okay, I think we're back. All right. Now, when people have contacted me, it's kind of hard for me to explain in emails how to test this. So I'm going to show you right here, and this should be a little more understandable. You take a jumper cable, like you would start your car if the battery was dead. You would take that jumper cable, connect it to the positive on the battery. You would, and I would suggest using the red end just for clarification purposes. Then you would take that jumper cable and connect it to this point on the solenoid. That's the part that goes to the starter. That's the starter side of the solenoid. For these larger terminals, there is no positive or negative point. Just a minute, I'm going to move the camera. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit clearer. That goes right into the starter, and if you get 12 volts from here to here, you're bypassing the solenoid. Be careful, because it's going to turn the engine over the minute you touch it. Whether you're in gear, whether the blades are engaged, etc. It's going to start or turn, providing there's not something wrong with your starter itself. Another way to test it is take a small wire, connect it up here to the positive terminal, or you could connect it to this terminal here on the solenoid and just take it right over and touch it to where the purple wire connects. That's going to test your solenoid. So if you get 12 volts right into that connection where the purple one goes, the solenoid should activate and throw 12 volts right into your starter, and the engine will turn. So once again, you have to be careful if you're doing that, because if it's in gear, if it's the blades are on, etc., it's going to turn. The safeties are not going to prevent that. So that's a good way to test it. Now, one more way to testing here to do. You get a multimeter. Hold on, I'm going to put you on hold here a second. Okay, we're back. All right, another way to do some testing. This is a multimeter. I have it set on the DC voltage at the 20 level. You would take that, the two probes. I'm going to set it down here because my third arm is incapacitated at the present time and not able to be used. One moment, we're going to pause you. Okay, with the help of my wife, since I was only born with 2 arms and hands, we're going to test the battery here. She's going to touch the red to the positive and the black to the ground, and as you can see, it goes up to 12.6 volts. Now, if you're going to test your solenoid, or actually, you're going to test the purple wire running to the solenoid, what you would do is you would take your meter, as we have here, you would take the black cable, touch it to any ground point, you would touch the red to where the purple wire leads into the solenoid, and then you would call my house and have my wife come over and turn the key on your tractor, since you can only do about 4 things with 2 hands. She would turn the key, and that would immediately show you the battery voltage on your multimeter display here. And if everything is good in your circuit and you are getting through your safeties and your key switch is not bad, no broken wires, you would show somewhere between 12 and 13.5 volts on the meter here. At that point, your solenoid should just click, and if the everything is working properly, the tractor should turn over. If not, you would just get the click, and that would be the extent of it at that point. Okay, so I would test the purple wire coming into the solenoid, except this tractor doesn't have a starter assist on it, and it would immediately start and not have any reference point to show to do the testing, and I don't want to tear it off at this point. So that would be pretty much, you would ground the black end of the multimeter, touch the red one to the solenoid where the purple connects, turn your key, and if everything is good, you should either get a click, a start, or something. So once the starter assist relay is installed, that should just take the clicking away and let your tractor start, let the engine start as it should under normal circumstances. Once again, you're not bypassing any relays. All you're doing is enhancing the voltage going into the solenoid so that it can do its job and the starter can do its job. Someone contacted me the other day and said that the battery was testing good, and when they would take a jumper cables from the battery to the starter side of the solenoid, the tractor would turn over immediately, but it wouldn't click or do anything if they put it on the batteries. It would work on the battery side of the solenoid as well. If you, from the battery to the battery side of the solenoid with a set of jumper cables, the tractor would start. That's making me think that they've got a bad cable, that this cable is either corroded at one of the connections, broken, you're just not getting enough current through that cable for some reason to allow the tractor to start with the solenoid. So that just where I've gone with that. Now, I haven't heard back from that person in the last couple of days to see what they found. I suggested they replace this short cable on an STX. It's probably not a short cable, but a much longer cable, but something was going on with a starter not working, except with a jumper cable bypassing this cable here, that had to be the culprit at that point. Not saying they won't still have just the clicking when they go to start it, but that was preventing it from starting all the time, it appears. Okay, that's pretty much the end of the video that I'm going to make here. I hope that was pretty self-explanatory, and with the visual aids a little easier to understand. This is my X310, once again totally different than the STX38, but the basic components: battery, cables, solenoid, starter, and an engine, very similar to the STX38. So I hope that helps, and it gets you on the road to installing your starter assist relay should you need any help with that. Take care. Thanks for watching.